Teaching Excellence Academy workshop, what I did is that I started to see my course differently. You know, that's where I mapped it out. With material science, one of the best examples we have is the failure of the O-ring that led, you know, to the explosion. So that was always something, you know, that I mentioned as part of, there's professional engineering in it, but the material science was really cool. So that was one of the driving forces that I started to kind of picture my course like this big space shuttle vessel that was going to the moon, and that's where the knowledge was and how were we going to get there. So all the stars were representing, you know, what I was going to try them to get through with the different experience they would see. So that's where we started looking at introducing different activities. So what I had to do, and that's one of the key things with a flipped classroom, is that if you remember looking at my course outline or the content, you know, there's lots in there. There's no way with a flipped classroom I could assess and cover all this. But one of the things that we do, and we'll often talk about this, is that one of our jobs is to teach students how to learn. So as long as I could select the concept that I really wanted to be taught, and I could make sure that the way I brought them there would allow them to know how they're supposed to learn some of the material on their own, eventually depending on the problem they face, then I felt that I could do it. I could, you know, remove some of the component, and it wouldn't change the course too much, and I would get them the knowledge that they really needed. So basically, what ended up happening is that, again, with a course objective, and that's where, you know, with a flipped classroom, there's no real recipe that I can give in a way, but one of the key things, that's where alignment, your course alignment. So what are your methods of assessment? What are your course objective? What are your learning outcomes is really key, because suddenly you're in an environment where the students are not just listening to you anymore. They have to work. It's open-ended most of the time. I'm around, but it's an environment where students also feel a bit unsafe about how they're going to learn and what they're learning, just because there's some structure, but it's not a lecture structure. You're not telling them, okay, we've covered 50 slides. This is what you're supposed to know. It's all in there. Suddenly, we work in the classroom, and it's open-ended, and sometimes there's solution, and sometimes they're not. And so one of the key things was, for me, if I know where I'm trying to get them, and I can have my path really straight forward, and it's all lined up, then I can get them there, and we can be successful. And that was really key for me. Once I had it all settled in my head, what I wanted them to know, so what were the course objectives, and, you know, there were the basic ones, so looking at the Bloom's taxonomy, just the knowledge base, and then some of the key component was the application. You know, there's a description, the explanation, the identification, but also where I was really trying to get them, that was my main objective that I really never got when I was just doing it as a regular lecture, is being able to have them integrate some of the basic material science and chemistry and develop some critical thinking skills. You know, that's kind of the thing. You, as an engineer, they're set in front of a problem and they have to solve it. And often, because I was spending so much time lecturing them about what they needed to know, they never got to actually look at a problem and take it apart and see really what was a key component. So with a flipped classroom, we were able to do that. Actually, we did that in the classroom all the time, because they could read the material at home, and then we could apply it directly. So once I knew, you know, I had my objective, and then I was trying to get there. And so I cut down some of the concepts, so you can see the schedule of the course. You know, I had 12 weeks. I picked 12 concepts that we were going to go through. And every week we had, the way it worked is that it was 2 hours of lecture, and then 1 hour of lecture and 1 tutorial. And so basically those became what we called working sessions. And so they weren't lecture anymore, it was all blended. So it was working session where they would have different things. So basically they knew that every week was associated with a topic. That's what we were going to cover. They had some reading to do, and they had an online quiz. Because one of the things, again, because suddenly they're on their own, they have to learn the material, I also need to make sure that by the time they come in the classroom, they've read and they're prepared, because if not, they're wasting their time.